love story. And what's crazy about the book of Ruth, that it comes right after the book of Judges. Does anybody know where it comes from? The book of Judges is the most violent, most perverted, crazy, death book in the Bible, where all these people who wanted to do what they wanted to do, rape and pillage, and wanted to be leaders of God, and Samson and Ehud and all these guys were coming. And the next book is the book of Ruth. A love story. A story of redemption. Like Pastor said earlier, all redeeming means is to pay back, to get something back that you've lost, to redeem something, to pay for something. Right? So who's going to be redeemed? The book of Ruth is beautiful, it's poetic, it's a wonderful story. It has everything. It has got happy moments, it's got sad moments, it's got like twists and turns, and has everything. But you know what's crazy about the book of Ruth? That it hardly mentions God. Hard. I think maybe 3 times, and not even specifically. So why is it even in our book? Why? We know all the books of the Bible are sanctified, right? And they've been approved by the Lord to be in here, right? Completely trusted. So we're going to find out something. I want you to find something in the book of Ruth this morning, okay? This is at a time, let me set the setting. I just told you about Judges, right? I told you everything's crazy, everything's chaos, everything's just out of control. People are killing and murdering, and the Israelites and the Moabites, they just don't get along. This is a dark time in Israel. So when I say that there's a woman who might be by herself, we don't even go outside in our society at night as women, or we shouldn't. Dark places or far places. But Ruth and Naomi's story is different. Let's go back to what she was reading, okay? Will you guys do me a favor? Open your Bible if you have one. If not, just listen to me. And instead of giving you my whole opinion about this, I'm just going to stick to Scripture. Are we okay with that?
Amen.
All ready? All right, here we go. Elimelech moves to a family to Moab. In the days the judges ruled Israel, a severe famine, that's just a drought or just no crops, came upon the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah left his home and went to live in the country of Moab. This is big. A man of Bethlehem, an Israelite man, leaves his Israelite home and traditions to move to Moab. Moab. Does anybody remember what Moab is? Moab is distinct correlation with Lot. Remember Lot and his daughters had incest and all that stuff and created this area. And from there, it's just a bad place to be. I don't know if there's a bad place to be around here that I can compare it to, but it's worse than that. Moab is just somewhere you don't go. But when things get bad, you make some crazy decisions. So this man turns his back on Bethlehem, which is already a preaching in its own, and he goes over to find something else. But he takes his wife and his 2 sons. The man's name was Elimelech, and his wife was Naomi. Can y'all say Naomi? Naomi. Okay. Their 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephraimites from Bethlehem. See, I'm having trouble too. Don't worry about it. From the land of Judah, and they reached Moab, and they settled there. Man, there's so much to preach in this. It's crazy. Just in the beginning, the setting, where they're at, that's a story in its own. They went looking for better opportunities. Sometimes we are blessed, but just things get rough, things get hard, and we leave. And we go. But the town of Bethlehem remains strong. I want to go on here real quick. Y'all follow me? Okay. Elimelech dies, leaving Naomi with her 2 sons. The 2 sons marry Moabite women. This is crazy in the Israelite tradition. But they're in dire times, in times that they're desperate. So they marry these Moabite women. One married one named Orpah, not to be confused with Oprah. And the other name was Ruth. Can y'all say Ruth? The reason I want you to remember these names, Naomi and Ruth, because they come very, very important later. 10 years later, both Mahlon and Chilion died. Listen to that. This left Naomi alone without her 2 sons or her husband. Do you understand what it's like to be in the time of the judges without a husband and without sons or anybody to follow you and to protect you, because somebody has to provide? At that time, women didn't work the fields, men worked the fields. There was enough work to be at home. Still like that today, right? It's enough. Start going on. So these men are out there. So you can imagine what Naomi's like. Has anyone ever felt that you've lost everything? This woman, in a matter of 6 verses, has lost everything. Her husband, her 2 sons, the future. Some of us, let's be honest, we count, right, Miss Anna, that our sons are going to grow up and take care of us one day. Amen? Amen. That is gone. And now she's not even at home. She's in the worst place possible. And her sons have married these 2 women, Orpah and Naomi. And Ruth. So this is where it gets good. Naomi heard, this is verse 6. Naomi heard that in Moab, the Lord had blessed the people in Judah, which is back by Bethlehem, they call it the same thing, giving them good crops again. So Naomi and her daughters-in-law got ready to leave back to Bethlehem from Moab, returning to her homeland. Her 2 daughters-in-law set out from the place where they had been living and took the road that would lead them back to Judah. But on the way, Naomi said to her daughters, Naomi hits this moment. You guys ever had that moment? I know I have. Where it just hits you. That, the enemy just starts putting that I can't, I'm not gonna, I don't see it out. I don't see it happening. This is not working out. This is not going to happen. At this moment, it hits Naomi and says, you know what? I'm done. My future is done. I can't go on. And then I'm dragging these 2 girls with me. So she has this moment where she tells them, you know what? Go back to your mothers. Go back to your land, basically. They're halfway between. Picture this. They're halfway between destinations. And may the Lord reward your kindness for your husbands and to me. May the Lord bless you with the security of another marriage, because that's pretty much the only way you're going to survive, correct? Mm-hmm. So she kissed them goodbye, and they all broke down and wept. You can see this scene. I want you to picture this scene. No, they said, we want to go with you to your people. But Naomi replied, why would you go with me? Can I still give birth to your sons? Are you going to wait while they grow up? Of course they're not. No, my daughters, return to your parents' home. I'm too old to marry again. And even if it were possible, and I would get married tonight and bear sons, then what? Would you wait for them to grow up and refuse someone else? No, of course not, my daughters. Things are far more, listen to the word, better for me than for you, because the Lord himself has raised his fists against me. Is that true? Is it the Lord himself? That's the way she feels. I know I felt that way too. God's got to be in control, so is he allowing this thing to happen? But here she tells him, the Lord himself has raised his fists against me. They wept again. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung tightly. And says, look, Naomi, your sister-in-law has gone back. You should go back too. And then here, I want you to remember this. Y'all still with me? Amen. Listen to this. Amen. I got one over. Ruth replied, this is huge right here. Listen to this. Listen to this most poetic part of this book. Listen to this. Don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Wherever your people are, it will be my people. Wherever your God is, he will be my God. Wherever you die, I will die, and I will be buried. May the Lord punish me severely if anything else separates us.
Praise the Lord.
Did you hear the commitment in this?
Amen.
Do you hear that loyalty? See, Ruth, Naomi doesn't know it, but God's already prospering her in a relationship that is so strong that says, where you go, I will go. Where you die, I'm going to die. Your God will be my God. She was foreign. The Moab had other gods. But she was faithful. Something is stirring. Remember I told you can't hear God in this stuff, but you can see him already. Right? Amen. So he's there. He's cooking behind the scenes. There he is. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go, she said nothing more. So the 2 women continued on their journey. When they came to Bethlehem, the entire town was excited. And they said, is this really Naomi? And what does Naomi say? She says, don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara. For the Almighty has made my life very bitter for me. That's what Mara represents. Bitter. You see how she's still struck? She's still hurt. She's still carrying this load and this pain. Listen to verse 21. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me home empty. Remember what I'm going to say here. This is her claiming, I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi when the Lord has caused me to suffer, and the Almighty has sent such tragedy on me? So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanying her daughter-in-law Ruth, the young Moabite woman. They arrived in Bethlehem, and at the beginning of the barley harvest. Okay, that's chapter 1. We leave off in chapter 1 at the beginning of the barley harvest. From now on, when you see the story of Ruth, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about the wheat and the barley, because this is important. The two things that were important at that time were family and provision and food. That was it. So she's coming back in time, remember, because God had blessed Bethlehem with some crops. What I want you to understand in chapter 1, church, is that, listen to this, there's a bigger story cooking here. We talked about that this morning in class. With the whole, the 12 sons, or, we found out that not all of them, I found out that not all of them were from the tribe of Judah, were from Leah and Rachel. There's a bigger plan cooking here. There's a bigger plan. And listen to this. God, in his sovereign design, allows sorrowful tragedy to set the stage for surprising triumph. Amen. Did you hear that? Amen. I want you to lock this in. God, in his sovereign design, not our thoughts, ordains or allows sorrowful tragedies in our lives to set the stage for surprising triumph.
Glory to God. Thank you, Jesus.
She doesn't know it yet. She's just arriving. Time for the barley harvest. Church, right now, in the moments when you think, listen, that God is farthest from us, he may just be laying the foundation for the greatest displays of his faithfulness to you. When you think that he's the farthest from you, he may just be laying that foundation. He may just be setting things up for the greatest, do you hear that? Display of faithfulness to you for not giving up.
Amen. Thank you, Lord.
Naomi gave up. She feels better. Don't call me this. But God is moving. They're in need of two things, family and they're in need of food. Chapter 2. Ruth works in Boaz's field. Now there was a man who was wealthy and influential. His name was Boaz. He was a relative of Naomi's husband, Elimelech. One day Ruth the Moabite said, let me go out to the harvest and pick up stalks of grain. There we go. Left behind by anyone who is kind enough to let me do it. Naomi replied, all right, daughter. Remember, Naomi's guiding her. It's just these two girls and they're alone. All right, my daughter, go ahead. So Ruth went out to gather grain behind the harvesters. As it happened, she found herself working in the field that belonged to Boaz, the relative of her. As it happened. As it happened. Church, things just don't happen when you're in the line of God. They don't just happen. She just so happened to be in the right field with Boaz, who ends up being a relative of Elimelech. Now, check this out. While she was there, it just so happened that Boaz, the owner of the land, arrives from Bethlehem and greets the harvest. And listen to the first thing he says. The Lord be with you.
Amen. You.
Isn't that crazy? You know when you're in the presence of somebody of God, don't you, by the way they feel or how they talk, don't you? That's the way we need to be. I mean, you can imagine whether this is going to work out or not. The first thing that comes out of this man's mouth, who owns this thing, who just so happens to be here, is, may the Lord be with you. Wow. Things are cooking. She doesn't even know it yet. Sorry, I lost my get excited. Okay. He said, verse 4. And he also says, the Lord blessed you, the harvesters replied. The people respond to him, okay? Then Boaz asked his foreman, who is that young woman over there? Who does she belong to? The Bible doesn't explicitly say whether she was pretty or what it was, but he noticed her, right? Who is that woman over there? And the foreman said, she's a young woman from Moab, mind you, quickly to identify where she's from, right? Oh, he's that guy from Boston. Oh, he's that guy from RA. He's that guy from, you know what I mean? They'll quickly identify where you're from. Who came back with Naomi. She asked me this morning if she could gather the grain behind the harvesters. She has been hard at work ever since. except for a few minutes in the rest of the shelter. What is he saying? He's creating, identifying her character. He's not saying, oh, she's just very whatever. No, she's working hard. You know what? As a matter of fact, she worked the whole time, except for just the moment that she took to rest, but she's been working hard. Would things have changed for her if she would have said, no, man, she's just there waiting for a handout? It might have. But here's this woman with character who's working hard, he said. She has been hard at work ever since, the foreman says, except for the few minutes she's been resting shelter. So Boaz goes over, mind you, if that wasn't a good report, I don't think Boaz, he probably said, you know, get out of my field, number one. Who are you, crazy woman from Moab? But he says, listen, my daughter, stay right here with us when you gather grain. Don't go to any other field. Stay right behind the young woman working in my field. I want to stop right there. God is showing us his love through Ruth to Naomi in that commitment, right? God is showing us another thing right here. He's saying, stay right here. We can see God in this. Stay right here. And God's telling us in our life at this moment, like, I know there's other things. I know there's temptation, but stay right here in this field. I can provide for you. I know there's a better job, or I know there's something, but stay right here. Amen. I know that you might be tempted to log on to that website that you're not supposed to, but stay right here. Stay right here. I can provide for you. Stay right here. That is God also acting like Boaz, saying, if you just stay here underneath my care, I can take care of you. I will provision for you. He says, you don't need to go to those other fields. You don't need to go to the bar. You don't need to go to the club. You don't need to talk to that person that nobody knows about. You don't need to do that. Stay here. Amen. Stay right here. He says, seek which part of the field that they're harvesting and follow them. I have warned these young men not to treat you roughly. And when you are thirsty, help yourself to the water that they have drawn from the well. Ruth falls at his feet and thanked him warmly. That is her response. Church, we have to have a response when God is giving us whatever we need and saying, protect you, and I got you, and I'll provide for you, and we don't have a response. Amen. She falls at his feet and says, thank you for giving us. Thank you. And then she says, what have I done to deserve such kindness? Don't we feel that way with God? What do I deserve this? She says, I'm only a foreigner. And Boaz says, yes, I know, but I also know everything that you have done for your mother-in-law. Whoa, character comes back in the clay. He's heard. Have people heard about how we are? Have people seen the good things that we've done for each other or for others? Because if not, they'll know us by our character. Our character, they know she works hard. He also knows she was loyal to Naomi and stuck with her when it didn't seem right. So she says, you know, I'm giving you favor because I have known about everything you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. I have heard how you left your father and your mother of your own land and come here among strangers. May the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge, reward you fully for what you have done. What he doesn't know is that he's going to be the rewarder. Amen. He doesn't know yet. He's just doing a good thing, right? You know, let me stop here for a second. Almost time out. Okay. It's really struck hard to me, and I've studied this with, or actually he studied it, and I've listened to Pastor and how he feels about the foreigner. And at that time, it was custom to leave the field, leave the edges, because I think God commanded it, if I'm not mistaken, to leave the edges for the foreigner. Yeah, the first couple of rows, whatever, so they can easily get what's going on there. It's probably not even usually the good part of it. The good stuff's usually in the middle. But to leave something, and it hurts me because we're in a situation now with immigration, and you have these refugees that are coming, and they're at the border, and I heard one this morning that impaled herself trying to cross over. And it's a real life situation. How do we treat the foreigner? The reason I asked Aaliyah to read this morning is because I asked God, who do I ask to read this story about the concern for the poor? Boaz's concern for the poor was everything. He says, stay here. I'll take care of you. And Aaliyah came to mind. Amen. She's always praying for the poor. You see, God is revealing himself again through Boaz for the poor, for the foreigner. When we read this book, God is being revealed through Boaz. What I'm afraid of is Moses or Paul. When somebody reads the book of your life, do they see God? Do they see my concern for the poor? And I don't think they do. Because I don't do anything. I look to see if I have money and if I have change, which I never carry cash. And sometimes I start to be honest, I think it's because I don't want to be giving it away because that's an easy excuse. I don't have cash. Right? But when they read the book of my life, are they going to see compassion for the poor? Right now, if they read her life, they will. Let's find where God is in this book. He's in Boaz right now. And the Lord of Israel take you on Ruth. Verse 13 says, I hope to continue to please you, sir. She says, you have comforted me by speaking so kindly, even though I'm not one of your workers. At mealtime, Boaz called her over and said, come over here, help yourself to some food. You can dip your bread and your sour wine. So she sat with the harvesters. Are you seeing this only God moment happen right here? A foreigner, a woman from Moab is being served by the Lord of the harvest. Only God can do that. Only God can make that happen. He's moving. And I'm sure people are watching going, this guy's crazy. He just met this girl. The workers, he was picking in the fields. So, of course, she sat with the harvesters. Boaz gave her some roasted grain to eat. She ate all that she wanted, and she still had some left over. When Ruth went back to work again, Boaz orders his young men, let her gather the grain right among the sheaves and without stopping her. Pull out some heads for barley and lay the bundles on the ground for her to pick them up. Don't give her a hard time. He said, do you understand? Like these things were 30 to like 50 pounds. So Ruth is strong. And she can carry this. And when you're hungry, you can do a lot. Take it. You know, God, take it with me. And check this out. What this does is that later on, she carried it back into town and showed it to her mother-in-law, Ruth, and gave her roasted grain that she had left over meal. Not only did she bring what he had given her, but she also said, well, wait a minute, I had some leftovers here. I have some other stuff that I ate too. Here, you can have some of this because God is a God of abundance. He's got some left over, and he's got the new harvest, and he's giving it to her and says, look, I got that. And Ruth is like, Naomi's freaking out. You got to understand, Naomi's like, what? Where did all this grain come from today? Naomi asks, where did you work? May the Lord bless the one who helped you. Here we go. Here she's starting to cook up again. She remembered, oh wow, I just blessed somebody. May the Lord bless the one who helped you. So Ruth told her mother-in-law, the man who she had worked for, she said, the man I worked for today, his name is Boaz. May the Lord bless him, Naomi said. He has shown kindness to us as well as your dead husband. That man is one of our closest relatives and one of our family redeemers, our kinsman. Here's where you're not just a redeemer, you're a saving redeemer. You are somebody who's going to change things around. Naomi's heart starts, oh, wait a minute. This guy, he's related to us. And if I'm not mistaken, the ritual there was if the person died, the brother or the nearest relative has the opportunity, doesn't have to, but has the opportunity to save all of us. But this just happened. I'm sure it's her mentality. This did not just happen. Ruth said, what's more, Boaz even told me, this is what Ruth does, Boaz even told me to come back and stay with his harvesters until the whole harvest is completed. Good, Naomi explained. Do as he said, my daughter. Stay with his young women the whole harvest. You might be harassed in the fields, but you'll be safe with him. I'm here to tell you, church, you stay in the field, you stay in the will of God, you're going to be harassed, you're going to be told to, but you have to stay in the field. Amen. You have to stay in the field. Okay, I'm going to get here. So Ruth worked alongside the women in Boaz's field and gathered grain until the end of the barley harvest. Then she continued to work with them through the whole week and the whole summer until she lived with her mother-in-law. Commitment. She stayed. She didn't go once and then had enough and then left. Did anybody hear me? You didn't go while she had enough and stored it up and then left. She kept going and going and going and going and trying and working. Do I think she had probably felt sick? I'm sure she did. She kept going. Did I think she got tired? I think she did, but she kept going. She kept going. She kept going. She kept going. All right, we're coming close. Are you seeing that? This outcast from Moab is now a part of Boaz's family in the field right now. She's eating at his table. He is sheltering her. He's taking care of her. 2 things he's providing: food and now somewhat family. Are you ready to go to verse 3, chapter 3? I'm sweating up here. Is it hot? All right, don't fall asleep on me, okay? This is only 2 more chapters. This is the second to the last chapter. Ruth at the threshing floor. One day, check out Naomi, okay? Borderline PG-13 going to R, but kind of sort of. I'll just verbally, okay? One day, Naomi said to Ruth, "My daughter, it is time that I found a permanent home for you so that you will be provided for. Boaz is a close relative of ours. He's been very kind by letting you gather grain with his young women. Tonight he will be winnowing barley in the threshing floor. Now do as I tell you." Mind you, this is like having like a grandmother giving you consejo, or your mom. Listen, okay? Listen. Now do as I tell you. Take a bath, put on some perfume, and dress in your nicest clothes. Then go to the threshing floor. But don't let Boaz see you until he has finished eating or drinking. Be sure to notice where he lies down, then go cover his feet and lie down there. He will tell you what to do. Can you imagine? Ruth's like, okay. There's so much sexual connotation here because in those times, feet was a big thing. Uncovering is a big thing. Lying down is a big thing. So Ruth is like, okay, wow, okay, and he's going to tell me what to do. Right? But let me tell you, before we get all crazy, is that never is there anything here that insinuates or calls us to question the nobility of Boaz. Or sometimes the instructions that we give or that you've given don't make any sense and sound awkward. Go pray for somebody. Lay hands on somebody. Right? Rebuke the enemy. These are some commandments, and she's telling them, do this, do this. Okay. Here we go. Now, I always wondered, why did he want to wait till she ate and drank? And I think as men, instead of thinking really hard, they're just happier after they eat and they drink, right? I mean, right? Your stomach's full, you're pretty tired. I mean, some of y'all, am I the only one that's grumpy when I don't eat? Well, he's already eaten, and he's counting and gathering this stuff at night.
You fall asleep easy.
Yeah, you fall asleep with this. I will do everything you say. I will do everything you say, she says. So she went down to the threshing floor that night and followed the instructions of her mother-in-law. After Boaz had finished eating and drinking, he was in good spirits. There we go. He laid down at the far end of the pile of grain and went to sleep. Now, isn't it important? I think the way she said, make sure you know which one he is. Because at one point, I'm sure there's other men there. She said, okay, look, make sure it's Boaz that you go lie down and do all this stuff with. Because with somebody else, it might be a whole different ballgame. So she said, make sure you keep an eye on him. Can you imagine, just take for a second what it's like to be her, behind the little wall or the little bushes. I don't know, she's probably hiding. She got all dressed up for the first time. You got to remember, this is what that means when you get dressed up and you wipe, when you clean up and you take a bath. It's not necessarily something sexual. What it is, do you remember who also did that? Then King David did that. After the kid had died, it was time. That means I'm available now. I'm back now. I'm ready now. I'm not just somebody that just, I'm alive again, is basically what she's saying. She's ready. She's available. And so she's there in her dress or whatever, I don't know what it is, and her makeup, and she's there watching Boaz. She's just questioning, what am I going to do? This is crazy. I mean, what is he going to say? What is his response going to be? So Boaz, I'm sorry. Check this out. So after he was eating, he went lay down. Ruth came quietly, uncovered his feet, and laid down. Around midnight, mind you, I guess he had a good meal because he didn't wake up, right? Around midnight, Boaz suddenly wakes up, turns over. He was surprised to find this woman lying at his feet, and he says, "Who are you?" And what does she say? "I am your servant, Ruth. Spread the corner of your covering over me, because you are my family redeemer. You are my kinsman redeemer." What was his response? What could he say? Here we see God in Boaz. Number 10, it says, "The Lord bless you, my daughter," Boaz exclaimed. "You are showing even more family loyalty now than you did before. For you have not gone after a younger man, whether rich or poor. Now you don't have to worry about a thing, my daughter. I will do what is necessary for everyone in town to know that you are a virtuous woman. But while it's true that I am one of your family redeemers, there is another man who is closely related to you than I am." Here's the twist. So we see it like, okay, Boaz is going to be the guy. He's going to bring everything back. He's wealthy. He's got God on his side. He's everything. This is it. And he notices her and he acknowledges what she's doing by saying, "You could have gone after a younger, good-looking guy. But you came to me because you're being selfless." First of all, she probably knows Naomi's behind this. You're being selfless. You're looking out for everybody, not just yourself. But he says, "But I got to be honest with you. There's someone closer to Elimelech, the guy who died, than I am. And he's got first shot at all this." Dum, dum, dum. So, but he says, "Stay here tonight, and in the morning I will talk to him. If he is willing to redeem you, very well, let him marry you. But if he's not willing, then as surely as the Lord lives, I will redeem you myself. Now lie down here until morning." Amen. It's getting good. Getting good. Like, this is crazy. I don't understand. Like, this is crazy. I think, okay, let me keep going, because I'm right now. Number 4. This is the last chapter. I told you to read it off. Boaz went to the town gate and he took a seat there. Just then, whoa.
Verse
14? Thank you. Okay, so Ruth lay at Boaz's feet until the morning, but she got up before it was light enough for people to recognize each other. For Boaz had said, "No one must know that a woman was here at the threshing floor." It's kind of our little secret, you know what I mean? Then Boaz said to her, "Bring your cloak and spread it out." He measured six scoops of barley, the cloak, and placed it on her back, and then returned her to the town. He's still sending her away with stuff. Why? Because he knows where that's going. It's not even really for her, but it's for Naomi. The person who said that she was bitter, that God had raised her fist against her. The person who said that I left empty and so I left full and then came back empty. Do you see what I'm saying? Remember the tragedy? Remember she lost her husband. She lost it. And here, little by little, she doesn't even understand the only reason she's still breathing, the only reason she still has food is because of God working through Boaz and providing for her. That's why she sends this stuff to I bet right now she's like, "I don't even care about food right now. You're about to go to town today and figure out what's happening for the rest of my life." When Ruth went back to her mother-in-law, Naomi asked, "What happened, my daughter?" Right? Well, she's like, "What happened? Tell me what happened." Right? Yeah, tell me. Give me the details. And Ruth told Naomi what Boaz had done for her. She added, "He gave me this 6 scoops of barley and said, 'Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" What did we hear that? We heard that in the beginning, remember? I left full and I came back empty. And here, through a simple gesture, he probably doesn't even know why he's doing it. Most of us don't know why we do what we do or why we continue to serve God faithfully, but as long as you stay in the field, he gives this to her, and it shows now Naomi is receiving messages, man, like, what? He said for you not to come back empty? Then Naomi said, just be patient, my daughter, until we hear what happens. The man won't rest until he has settled things today. This is the last time we hear of Naomi and the last time we hear of Ruth in the story. We won't hear from them anymore. The rest is in Boaz's hands in the last part. The rest is up to Boaz. But you know what's cool about Boaz? Is that he wants to do things the right way. He doesn't want to. I'm sure Ruth is attractive. And he can provide. And he's got the resources to do it. He's got the land to do it. And he's got the swagger to do it. But he wants to do things the right way.
Amen.
So Boaz goes to the town gate and takes a seat there. Then the family redeemer had mentioned that he had come by. So Boaz called out to him, come over here and sit down, friend. I want to talk to you. So they sat down together. Then Boaz called the 10 elders from the town and asked them to sit as witnesses. This is customary. Whenever there's going to be a transaction, or whenever there's going to be something important, it's important that the elders are there to witness it, and that it goes down legit, and it goes down right, okay? And Boaz said to the family redeemer, you know Naomi, who came back from Moab? She is selling the land that belonged to her relative Elimelech. Do you see how he worded this? You know Naomi, who came back from Moab? She is selling the land that belonged to her relative Elimelech. I thought I should speak to you about it so that you can redeem it if you wish, if you want the land. Then buy it here in the presence of all these witnesses. But if you don't want it, let me know right away, because I'm the next line to redeem it after you. Right now, they're just talking about land. The man says, all right, I'll redeem it. Sounds like a guy, right? Got it. I'll take it, because he sees future, he can see crops, he sees blessings, he sees something he can hand down to his children, right? The family redeemer replied, because this might endanger... I'm sorry. I'll redeem it. Then Boaz told him, I'm sorry, I missed a small detail. Of course, your purchase of the land from Naomi also requires you to marry Ruth, that Moabite widow. Remember, this is a woman, Moabites and Israelites, they don't get along. They never have. He says, if you get the land, you also have to marry Ruth, the Moabite woman. That way she can have children who will carry on her husband's name and keep the land of the family. So all of a sudden he's like, okay, you get the land, but you get Ruth, her children inherit the land that you're about to get. Ooh, that doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good at all. So he says quickly, then I can't redeem it. I'm out. The family redeemer replied, because this might endanger my own estate. You redeem the land, I cannot do it. Now, in those days, it was custom for Israel, for anyone transferring the right of purchase to remove his sandal and place it on the other party. This publicly validated the transaction, so the family redeemer drew off his sandal, as he said to Boaz, you buy the land. Then Boaz said to the elders, and the crowd saying, you are witnesses today that I have bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Kilion, Melion, and that the land that I have acquired, Ruth, the Moabite widow of Mahlon, to be my wife. This way she can have a son to carry on the family of her name, and her dead husband to inherit the family property in his hometown. You are all witnesses today. By this time you see, when there's business going on, it's just like when you see a car accident, people start slowing down. Because you know what's going on. By this time, there's all these elders, there's chunklets coming on, there's transaction going on. There's a crowd watching this. And he's telling everybody, you are all witnesses. Don't go back later saying, geez, man, look at this and this and that. I'm telling you, right now it's going down. You are all witnesses that I have purchased this, and this. Then the elders and all the people standing at the gate said, we are all witnesses. May the Lord make this woman, listen to this, who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, from who all the nation of Israel descended. May you prosper in Ephraim, wherever that is, and famous in Bethlehem. May he be famous in Bethlehem. And may the Lord give you descendants of this young woman who will be like those of the ancestor of Perez, the son of Tamar in Judah. The last part says, so Boaz took Ruth into his home. She became his wife. When he slept with her, the Lord enabled her to become pregnant. Who did? The Lord. This is the first time I heard his name. You see how critical it is? Everything that happened was the Lord's plan. Amen. Everything. As crazy as it sounded. And here it says the Lord enabled her to become pregnant, and she gave birth to a son. The woman of the town said to Naomi, "Praise the Lord, who has provided a redeemer for your family. May this child be famous in Israel." Do they not know the understatement of that? But may this child be famous in Israel. May he restore your youth and care for you in your old age. For he is a son of your daughter-in-law who loves you and has been better you than 7 sons. 7 is the number of completion and the number of perfection. Better than. Naomi took the baby. This is the last scene. Stay with me. Oh, I know I'm getting it. The last scene. The woman who had nothing, who lost it all, who was devastated and bitter and came home empty-handed, who said herself that the Lord had raised her fence against us, is now holding and cuddling a little baby which resembles her future and her provision and her family, everything that had been taken away from her. And she cared for him as if she were her own. And the neighboring women said, "Now at last, Naomi," not Ruth, "has a son again." And they named him Obed. He became the father of Jesse and the grandfather of David. So you're telling me that Ruth, this Moabite outcast, but the one who said she was faithful, are you trying to tell me that Ruth is David's great-grandmother? Is that what you're saying? David, King David? The lineage of Jesus? The greatest king that ever lived? And I bet she thought at that moment, if she was still alive, that he was the famous one. But that was still further down the line. Before I finish, thank you for staying and being patient. Is that I want you to see a woman redeemed by God. In chapter 1, what did they call Ruth? A Moabite foreigner. In chapter 2, an outcast foreigner. In chapter 3, she's a servant wanting marriage. In chapter 4, her title is wife. Do you see that? Amen. From a Moabite scum to wife of Boaz, Kinsman Reedemer. Naomi, totally restored. Family, provision, everything's been given back to her. Church, what I want you to remember today, everything, no matter how tragic in our lives, no matter how hurtful, as long as we remain in the field, is working out for God's purpose. He's working things in the craziest, in the lies, in the deception, in the fallouts, in the death, in the life, in the tragedy. He's working things out for his glory. The genealogy, that's what it ends right here. Let's finish this right here. Verse 18, this is how the book ends. So Perez was the father of Haran. Haran was the father of Ram. Ram was the father of, I don't know how to pronounce his name, was the father of Nashon. Nashon was the father of Solomon. Solomon was the father of Boaz. Boaz, remember, had a baby? His name was Obed. Obed was the father of Jesse. And Jesse is the father of David. All of this must occur. The things in our lives must happen for the glory of God. And I promise you, church, there's somebody in here this morning that needs to be redeemed. Or there's some of us in here that can testify that we've been redeemed once and we can be redeemed again. That we were lost, that we were nobody, that we had, everything looked bitter, we were horrible. And God redeemed, He bought back our lives. This really spoke to me in the vision of the poor. I'm going to, as much as I want to take it easy in the holidays, I really want to figure out some way. I want, when people read my life, my book, to say, He cared for the poor. Amen. And right now, I don't think I have a chapter that says that. So pray for us. Let's pray. Let's bow together. Thank you for your patience. Thank you, God in heaven. Thank you, Father, for today, Father. Forgive me for anything that is not of your love, Lord. I just want to give you honor and praise, Father. Thank you for allowing us to see you, although hardly mentioned, God. In every little thing that happened in the book of Ruth, you were there. God, in the tragedy, you were there. In the redemption, you were there, God. You were there in every circumstance, in the field, in the prayer, in the advice. You were there the whole time, God. As you are today for us. You are there, God. Thank you, Father, for our redemption. Be with those who need to be redeemed, Lord. Bring them back, God. Help us stay in the field together, God. Don't be tempted to go elsewhere. We love you. Forgive our sins. In Jesus' name we pray.